regarding Black Panther 2, them using this Bible of a sorts that was created in production for the first Black Panther, which essentially just dives into the lore, into the characters, into the different clans and different people of Wakanda. And the second part of the story is the conversation being had regarding Michael B. Jordan coming back into the mix as as Killmonger. So just kind of the question I want to pose in the last topic of today, Leo, kind of your expectations for a Black Panther 2. And if you would like to see Killmonger be brought back into the mix, and if so, how does Killmonger get back into the mix?
So, with the unfortunate passing of Chadwick Boseman, my thoughts for Black Panther 2 were just kind of all over the place, to be honest with you. It's like sometimes I'm like, when it first happened, I was like, okay, don't recast T'Challa. But then part of me also thinks, carry that character along. Like, also continue to move the needle of T'Challa and maybe do a recast, but Kevin Feige has already said no recast. Yeah. I would be down to see Killmonger again, but he just has such a great closing arc in that first Black Panther, just his line of the slaves and what he has said at the end of that movie. I'm mixed on it, man. Like, I would like to see him back maybe as like some kind of redemption arc, helping Wakanda in some way. Maybe Doom comes in and he helps out. But I'll be honest with you, man. I just don't really know. Like I said, after the unfortunate passing of Boseman, I just don't know where they're going to go with Black Panther 2. Are they going to make Shuri Black Panther? Are they going to make Killmonger himself Black Panther? Because both of those characters in the comics have been Black Panther in some way, shape, or form. Mm-hmm. I just don't know. I love Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler's work together in Fruitvale Station and the two Creed movies. But I just don't know where they could go with this. And if they do anything, a redemption arc would be kind of cool to have them all team up against maybe a Doctor Doom or a threat that level, or Namor, bring in somebody huge. But I don't know, man. My thoughts are kind of back and forth about this, and I don't know.
It is a tough position that Ryan Coogler and all the wonderful people at Marvel obviously dealt with the tragedy of losing the King T'Challa. Chadwick Boseman will always be T'Challa, just a great actor and great person, and definitely rest in peace to him. It's a tough spot to be in. And in regards to them using the Wakanda Bible, I think Kevin Feige even said it in the Investors Day that they want to explore the other realms of Wakanda, which to me sounds like, again, Doom Wars, bringing in Dr. Doom. He wants to come in. There's no king on the throne, because who was the king of Wakanda when there was that 5-year gap from Infinity War to Endgame? Who was sitting on the throne? M'Baku, who was it? So it really some stuff to explore there. But tossing it to you, Owen, just your thoughts on what a Black Panther 2 could look like. Shuri in the role, bringing back Killmonger. Someone brought it in the chat. We didn't see him die. Technically, T'Challa could have brought him to Shuri. They could have fixed him up like they did Agent Ross. What's your thoughts on Black Panther 2? And would you like to see Killmonger have a somewhat of a redemption story?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat where I don't know. I wouldn't want to be the person that has to figure out what they do.
Yeah.
Losing such a talent like Chadwick Boseman and someone who's so integral to the series. He is T'Challa even when he's not in costume. That's such a gap. How do you fill it? And I was in the camp of people that thought you do recast. I think that Chadwick gave some of the last years of his life to bringing that character to life. Personally, I think you someone else carries the torch and continues his life's work in a sense. But I understand them wanting to go in a different way and take the character out of the equation and turn the film into a tribute to both T'Challa and to Chadwick Boseman. If that's what Ryan Coogler and Kevin Feige think is the best thing to do, who am I to say any different? They know far more than I do. In terms of bringing Killmonger back, I think that obviously they're having to rewrite whatever plans Coogler had for the film. So I can't imagine he didn't plan to use T'Challa. So I'm sure it's possible. Obviously, him and Michael B. Jordan are very close, and if he needed, I need you back, I'm sure he'd be more than willing to. But for me, Killmonger's ending at the end of Black Panther is so perfect, and it's so poignant for the themes of the film and everything about his character. The fact that he essentially chooses to go out on his own terms it's such a defiant last stand. And it's the way he chooses to go out that I think that influences a lot of the ways T'Challa changes. in the end of the movie and going into his stories in the Avengers films. And I think that's such a powerful moment and such a powerful impact of what happens to his character that I don't know. I'd understand if they wanted to bring him back, but I personally feel that would take away from the great ending of his arc in the last movie.
Yeah.
Now, they could bring him back and they could do a redemption arc, and I'm sure it'd be great because, like I said, Michael B. Jordan is a terrific actor, especially when he's with Ryan Coogler. But who knows? Maybe it's Shuri. If I had to choose, I'd probably go with M'Baku right now, especially given that, as far as I know, he didn't get snapped away. So you could set up that he'd already basically taken over that mantle for a few years.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a strange one.
Yeah.
It's something that, like I said at the start, I wouldn't like to be the person that has to figure out what they do next. But I'm eagerly anticipating to see what Coogler comes up with, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it's a tough hand that they have to kind of figure out all this stuff now. But I think in Kevin Feige and Ryan Coogler and all the wonderful people at Marvel, that they'll do justice to the character and kind of tell the story. And I would love to see a Wakanda miniseries, if I'm being honest, on Disney Plus, exploring all the different tribes and things like that. That would be a very expensive show, but a show I would welcome. But tossing it to you, the Blurb Girl, just kind of what you hope to see in a Black Panther 2, the idea of bringing back Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger from the ancestral plane, bringing an alternate version of him. Again, I don't know what they can do with Killmonger, but, and Kevin Feige and Ryan Coogler we trust.
Again, I don't think we have to bring Killmonger back, but my perspective is very different. First of all, there is a huge amount of history and things that they created. I had a chance to interview Hannah Beachler, the production designer, as well as Joe Robert Cole, one of the co-writers, and the amount of lore and history that they came up with, in addition to what Ta-Nehisi Coates had brought back, plus building on the shoulders of Reginald Hudlin and other people who actually had written a Shuri as Black Panther comic, the material is there. It's all there. Even the latest comic that was written by Nnedi Okorafor is called The Search for Black Panther, and Shuri is trying to find him. So, all of the material is there. So, I don't think that they will recast Black Panther for the next Black Panther movie, for Black Panther 2. Yeah. For Black Panther 3, I think they will. So, I don't think it's we are not ever recasting him ever. I think it is we are not recasting him for Black Panther 2.
Yeah.
And simply because there's too much money. Marvel will not turn down money. They're not going to. So they will recast, or there are all these other storylines. Again, if Wanda breaks up this reality, there are multiple realities. There are realities that Black Panther and Storm, that T'Challa and Storm had children, and one of his children became king. There's all of these different things that they could do. He had a son and he had a daughter. This is the kind of stuff I told you I love the side characters. So this is the kind of stuff that I dig into. The lore is there, and on top of all of these different worlds that they built, think about it. I could see the biggest issue in Black Panther 2 being the world of Wakanda. Because remember, they opened up their doors. Everybody came in and destroyed the place in Infinity War.
Yeah.
I think M'Baku's people might have a problem with that. And so might the merchant crew. And remember that the flower, the people who were over the whole caves and basically recreating that flower that gives Black Panther his power.
Yeah, the herb.
Killmonger burned everything. There was only one herb left, and they gave it to Black Panther, to T'Challa. So there's a whole series of things that could be solved. Also, in the comics that Ta-Nehisi Coates was writing, the Queen Mother was running everything when T'Challa wasn't there. Give Angela Bassett her things. Give Queen Mother her things. So I think there's tons of different stories they could do. Now, whether they'll do all of them in Black Panther 2 or they'll split it between the movie and Disney Plus is beyond me. But there's a ton of footage there. And I think the fact that everybody has in their head, because even the character said it, The Black Panther is a symbol. We could have an entire movie where somebody is in the suit and nobody knows who it is. That would be a really interesting thing,
Yeah.
And like, or they're trying to search for T'Challa, but somebody has shown up and they're like, that's not him. Well, we don't know who that is, but we're fighting. We're fighting, and we need them. Maybe that's how Shuri shows up. Like the first time we saw Pepper in the rescue suit.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's tons that they could do. I am as heartbroken as everybody else.
Yeah.
But Marvel's not turning down that money.
Yeah, and like you said, it's a symbol. The Black Panther has been from generation to generation, whether it be, T'Challa, from family, that title goes on. So I think you're totally right. Black Panther 3, we would probably see a recasting of a Black Panther if they go that route. If it's not Shuri, that's by the end of the film, a Black Panther or M'Baku or Killmonger, we'll see. But Chris, man, to wrap up this topic here and wrapping up the show after that, just your thoughts on what you would like to see in a Black Panther if the rumors are to be true. Namor, we got Dr. Doom coming to the mix potentially, or just exploring Wakanda and the politics, like the Blurgirl was just saying. What happens when you open your doors to the world? And we saw what happened in Infinity War. And again, who was running Wakanda when T'Challa was gone? Just your thoughts on that, man.
To me, the biggest thing I just want to see is the Namor and Atlantis, because I feel like that movie just writes itself with Wakanda versus the people of Atlantis, two crazy futuristic like cities that have been hidden from society, that out of nowhere emerged. Like, to me, it literally writes itself. Two kings fighting each other. I'm just curious to the rewrite that's going down in this movie that's going to be required, with unfortunately Chadwick Boseman not being there, but I think they'll handle it the best way, whether it's a combination of just all these supporting actors are now main characters together, whether it is just handed off to Shuri, which I wouldn't mind either. See if maybe they can even involve her in the Young Avengers movie, since she's someone relatively young who has to take up that mantle. I wouldn't mind M'Baku taking it. I'm just like, I also hope they eventually tell us what they wanted to do with Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther, because I was someone who was campaigning, I'd be okay if they recasted him and kept going and pretended like that was still T'Challa, not really like, ignoring what Chadwick brought, but kind of just continuing on his legacy, because I feel like they had big
what,
for his character throughout the MCU, especially with people like Captain America gone, Iron Man gone.
They could animate it. I completely agree. I want to see that story, and they could animate it.
But there'd be a what if. What if T'Challa didn't die, or whatever they decide to do for that. Man. That works perfectly. So yeah, that'd be what I want to see.
Yeah, and you guys, we're dealing with multiverse, we're dealing with alternate realities, and again, we can have an alternate type of situation with T'Challa's story continues to go on, or like I said, I would be 100% down with a what if scenario, just kind of dedicated to Wakanda and what that story would have looked like on a small screen. Just seeing that story would be great. So let us know in the comments for those watching the replay your thoughts on a Black Panther 2 and a Killmonger coming back and what you all would like to see. So